For KBRFradio.com News, I'm Derek Sidian, and this is the weekly news recap. At around 7:15 Saturday morning, the Ottertail County Sheriff's Office and the Minnesota State Patrol received reports of a suspicious person at the Hansel Lake Rest area on I-94 southeast of Fergus Falls. State troopers determined that the vehicle the suspect, identified as 31-year-old Eliezer Rodriguez, was driving was linked to a serious assault and possible attempted homicide in Minneapolis. An air, ground, and canine search of the area was conducted, as well as a shelter-in-place advisory for Dalton. At 2:41 Saturday afternoon, Rodriguez was spotted by an area resident near the rest area. A ground team made up of Ottertail County deputies, Grant County deputies, state troopers, and Minnesota DNR officers began tracking Rodriguez at that point and took him into custody within an hour after a short foot pursuit. Once cornered, he surrendered without incident and was transported to Lake Region Healthcare in Fergus Falls for a medical issue unrelated to his arrest. After being released from the hospital, he was turned over to the custody of the Minneapolis Park Police and is being held in Hennepin County Jail. Rodriguez is charged in Minneapolis with kidnapping, criminal sexual conduct, and carjacking. As reported by Paul Juergens with KFGO, Park Police say Rodriguez is accused of carjacking a woman at knife point last Friday afternoon on Cedar Lake Parkway, kidnapping and raping the victim. At around 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, the Ottertail County Sheriff's Department responded to a report of a capsized boat on Halverson Lake, northwest of Elizabeth. Responders were able to use a watercraft that was on the lake and rescue the victim, who was later identified as 85-year-old Thomas Harthun of Fergus Falls. Harthun was treated at the scene and was transported to Lake Region Healthcare. 32-year-old Hank Allen Wibben of Perham made his first appearance in court Monday for recklessly discharging a firearm in a municipality and for being a felon in possession of a firearm. At around 5 on the evening of March 3, 2024, the Ottertail County Sheriff's Department responded to the Perham Hospital for a report of a gunshot wound. The officer met Wibben at the hospital and learned that while cleaning his gun at his home, Wibben did not realize there was a bullet in the chamber. The gun discharged and went through both Wibben's hand and his leg. The officer gathered evidence at the residence, including photos of the gun and the scene. Wibben's next court appearance is set for July 22nd. 33-year-old Wyatt Johnson has been convicted of third-degree burglary for an incident just outside of Fergus Falls back in March. At around 5 in the evening on March 2, 2024, the Ottertail County Sheriff's Office responded to a report of a suspicious activity at the CHS Incorporated elevator in French. According to court documents, shortly after law enforcement arrived, Johnson called and said that he wanted to turn himself in. The officers asked Johnson if he needed medical attention as he was visibly upset. He told them that he, quote, was dumb, had a problem, and should not have broken into the elevator, end quote. Law enforcement searched Johnson's person and found his front pockets full of change, which he admitted he had stolen from the office. He also volunteered that he had methamphetamine in his vehicle, which law enforcement later found in the center console. Johnson was brought to the Ottertail County Detention Facility, where he provided a second statement reaffirming what he had already told officers. Johnson was sentenced to 15 months at the Minnesota Correctional Facility in St. Cloud and 5 years probation for third-degree burglary, and the charge against him for drug possession was dismissed. Johnson has also reportedly admitted to other burglaries in Cass County, North Dakota, and Clay County, Minnesota, though charges have not appeared to have been filed in those jurisdictions at this time. At around 3:35 on Wednesday afternoon, the Ottertail County Sheriff's Department responded to a tractor rollover off of County Highway 86 just west of the Fergus Falls Municipal Airport. Upon arrival, deputies determined that the victim, 73-year-old Gerald Peterson, was pinned under the back of the tractor and was pronounced deceased at the scene from injuries sustained in the accident. Officials say that the vehicle tracks indicate Peterson was heading north on Highway 86 before exiting the roadway into the steep western ditch, causing the tractor to roll and partially eject him. The incident is under investigation. At around 11 o'clock on Tuesday evening, the Minnesota State Patrol responded to a single vehicle accident at mile marker 89 on I-94 near Brandon. According to the crash report, 33-year-old Donald Diaz of Fergus Falls was traveling west on I-94 when a tire blew out on his Jeep, causing him to lose control and hit the cable median barriers. Diaz and his passenger, 22-year-old Furman Ramirez of Fergus Falls, suffered non-life-threatening injuries, with Ramirez being transported to Alamere Hospital for treatment. There are two candidates that applied to fill the vacant 3rd Ward seat on the Fergus Falls City Council, Michael Mortensen and Nate Kunde. The council now has to interview the candidates and choose who will become the next member of the council until November. The candidates are asked to be at City Hall at 4:30 on June 17th for their interview. City Administrator Andrew Bremseth says, quote, "If there is a candidate that receives a successful resolution from the council, they would then be seated right away at the meeting and carry out the business," end quote. The public is invited to observe. At around 8:40 Wednesday evening, the Ottertail County Sheriff's Department responded to a 2-vehicle accident in rural Fergus Falls near the intersection of County Highway 21 and County Highway 11. 3 occupants sustained non-life-threatening injuries and were transported to Lake Region Healthcare. No other information has been released at this time. Walmart is rolling out their new standards for store design, and Fergus Falls is the next store to get in on the action. Store manager John Wakeman says that among the changes, one of the biggest will be the pharmacy moving to the side of the store opposite the grocery section, which is where it was located when the store first opened. He says the move is to make the store layout more similar to the other stores in the company. Wakeman states that they will also be upgrading the self-checkout section to, quote, "Walmart's latest and greatest design," end quote, as the current status quo is, quote, "very inefficient," end quote. The final major change customers will notice is the removal of the white tile floors. According to Wakeman, most Walmart stores have concrete floors with a polished coating. He adds,
"White tile floors in a Minnesota winter are very hard to maintain. It's a tremendous amount of work. It takes a tremendous amount of labor hours to maintain the floors, which is challenging, and it'll be a much nicer experience for our customers."
Other changes include more grocery options, mannequins in clothing, and houseware displays that show how products might look in a home. Wakeman says that most of the work is going to happen overnight. However,
our customers won't see a lot of construction going on during the day, during business hours. They will see it, though. They will feel it. Because, there's going to be things moving around. As we tear floor out, we have to clear that area out to tear the floor out and get it prepped and set to go in. And so things will be moving around. And we're going to try our best to communicate every day via Facebook.
Wakeman appreciates customers' patience over the next few months as these changes are being made.
We have a lot of very loyal customers to our store, and I think it's going to be really fun for them to see something so shiny and new. But yet, still the same store, same great people that work here, so that's going to be fun.
The remodeling process will begin on July 15th, with the goal to have the re-grand opening in early November. For KBRFradio.com News, I'm Derek Sidian, and this has been the Weekly News Recap. Subscribe to the KBRF Radio YouTube channel and tune in every Friday at 5 to stay up to date with local news. Get more news at KBRFradio.com or on the Fergus Now app. Sign up for email news sent right to your inbox, delivered by Cooper's Office Supply.